First off, I want to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters, the mercy of the grand predecessors, transmitting masters, and everyone here today for this opportunity to talk about the 5 conditions for returning to heaven. These are holy teachers' words to us. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure everyone wants to return to heaven. The heaven, of course, that we're talking about is heaven, or what we call absolute heaven, the transcending the cycle of reincarnation, the cycle of life and death. Okay. So that's the Dharma Dhatu as well. Okay. So how do we get there? Of course, there are some prerequisites. We know we have to receive the Tao, have the 3 treasures, and we have to make vows and cultivate. And so a lot of the teachings, the Dharma, of course, is talking about the cultivation aspect, because that is so, we use that word a lot, cultivate or practice. But it covers a lot of things. And so just like I talked about a couple, 2-3 weeks ago, the 4 courses of cultivation. So actually today is kind of, these 5 are kind of, it overlaps. It overlaps with the 4 courses as well. Because when you talk about cultivation, it's very broad and it covers a lot of things. But the 4 courses are, you can say, a subset of these here, the 5. Now here I say 5 requirements, because in the Chinese, it's not very specific here, but it could be conditions or requirements. But if you think about it, yeah, they are just like the 3 treasures, that's a requirement. But then cultivation is also a requirement to return, to basically return to heaven, to home, basically our true home. Okay. So, basically, we need to, these are various aspects. So cultivation, again, it's a broad thing and it covers many kind of aspects. And these, you can kind of slice it and dice it, different ways. So you have moral integrity, or, it's in 4 courses, you have like moral character. So it's similar. And it's also kind of covers virtues here, and then moral discipline, there's precepts, and the mindset and attitude. Okay. So this kind of, another aspect. And then forbearance. Okay. That's also in the 4 courses, and fulfilling our vows. So that's very important. We do make vows. Even when we receive the Tao, we make vows, 10 vows, right? So, we have to know what our vows are. If we don't know what our vows are, we can't fulfill our vows, and therefore it could be very difficult to return or to go back to heaven. Okay. So, all right. So let's talk about these. Okay. So these are, I think this comes from, there's a set of books called, Lao Si De Hua. It's holy teachers, words. And it's like, I think this might come from the book, the 11th volume, I think. But anyways, okay. All right. So the first one, moral integrity. Again, moral integrity can mean, talk about like our moral character, virtues, that kind of thing. Okay. So it's the foundation of cultivation. Again, I think if you remember from the 4 courses, the holy teacher had a lot to say about moral character. Okay, so that kind of covers this as well. Okay, so it's basically our body, mouth, or speech. Okay, actually, and mind, or you could say thoughts or our attitude. It must be pure. Everything must be pure. Okay. So actually, the 3 treasures is kind of like these three aspects. Okay, the first treasure would be, you can say, like the mind. Second treasure would be the spoken speech or mouth. And then the third treasure would be the body, the actions, okay, the physical actions. But so that's why sometimes we talk about the three treasures, say that you have to use the three treasures. You have to understand, it's not just the knowledge, but knowing that the three treasures is a part of us, and that we have to know how to properly use them, okay? And then transforming our character can make us more rounded and adaptable to situations. And then self-reflection can help with self-restraint and minimizing errors. In Chinese, they say, they use the round, they use the Chinese word round for round. Basically, we need to be, and that could be, that could mean also like we have no pointy corners or pointy edges or whatever, sharp edges, right? So this is in referring to our character, right? We don't, it could refer to like our temperament, right? We don't get, to be more rounded or smooth is, not having, like getting angry. But basically to be rounded, you can say it also means that we can be in harmony with everything, everyone. Okay. And also, basically to be adaptable or flexible, right? In situations that we're in or dealing with anyone or anything. So that also means not having, you can say specific, attachments or just to certain ways, maybe their habits or ideas, that we have to be able to kind of, you could say, be in the moment. Be in the moment means you can adapt and do the right thing in the moment. Okay. And it's not based on, I always do this, in this kind of situation. It's more flexible. Okay. And then so self-reflection is also a very important part of the cultivation. We need to first of all recognize our errors, our faults, our mistakes, things where we need to improve or correct. So this way that we don't make future errors. So it's like you can say the prime example is Yan Hui, the disciple of Confucius who never makes the same mistake twice. Okay, so and how do you do that? Well, through self-reflection, constantly self-reflect and learning from what we've done. That is the way. Right. Okay, so cultivation during the final era, this white era that we're in, should emphasize moral integrity. Yes. So if you look at the world today, society today, there's, it's almost anything goes. And so, there's a lot of, there's a decay. I mean, there has always been a decay in morals, in society over, thousands of years. But today, because the emphasis is on freedom, free to do whatever you want. And so that's, unfortunately, in terms of politics, then that becomes the very progressive or the very liberal, side of things. And unfortunately that's, without having proper, morals, then, people do crazy stuff. Okay. So this is very important. Only with a great fearless spirit can we dispel calamities and trials. Also, we need to have, fear is also one of the things that we need to overcome. And in this case, a lot of it is fear of change. Okay. So we don't like to change ourselves. We kind of we have this comfort zone, and we're uncomfortable kind of leaving that zone. But that zone, that comfort zone could include our bad habits, things like that. So, and so we need to recognize that, well, some of these things are habits, that we need to, correct, change. And it takes courage, to change ourselves. Okay. So, but, having also, you can say a righteous spirit, doing the right, always, wanting to do the right thing. So when we have that kind of spirit, that energy, it allows us to kind of dispel these calamities and kind of end the trials or tribulations that we may encounter otherwise. Okay. There's a saying that says benevolence has no enemy. So the key here is that if we can be benevolent or, say compassionate, kind, then no one will be our enemy. I mean, we won't make any enemies. Okay. So that is, one of the keys. So that is one of the, five constant virtues that Confucius talks about. Okay. Benevolence. And so that is one of the foundations, one of the, I guess you can say that one of the foundational virtues, I guess. So if we can manifest benevolence all the time, then, we won't, basically things won't go badly for us. Okay. A person with ability, but without virtue will likely attract the jealousy of others. The greater our ability, the more complete we must be. In other words, have more virtue. Okay. So this is talking about, whether we have, maybe we have a talent or we're just very capable, and very competent. And so we can rise up in status. Okay. So social status or, whatever, status in work or even in the temple or anywhere. But our position, a great high position comes with it, you say great responsibilities. Okay. So, and not just that, but, one of the things is our character. We have to have that virtue, the moral character, to go along with it. So if you have someone who's in a very high position, but they are not very virtuous, so they might do a lot of things. I mean, because they wield so much power, they can do all sorts of evil things, right? If they don't have that virtue, and so that's what we kind of see that today, right? But not just, out in society, but even in the temple. So we start off, we all start off as Tao Kin, but then if we, as we progress in the Tao and cultivation in the temple, maybe we become a staff member, we have become a temple host, a lecturer, even a transmitter. But, it's hard to, if we move up, the status, the ladder, if you will, without cultivating ourselves well, not having that enough virtue. One thing is that, the stuff that we do, we may say the right things, we can teach, give lectures and talk about all these principles, but if we don't do it ourselves, people know that. I mean, they see that, they can hear it. And so, then you can lose, you won't get their respect. Okay. We won't get the respect of people. And so therefore that would be that would be bad. I mean, especially, as the higher up we are, we're supposed to be in a leading position. And if we don't have the respect of, the others below us, that's, we can't, how can we lead, right? So that's very important. So this is a very important point to know, is that as we go up, the ladder of, status or position, that our virtue must match. So, if we're not humble, and as we go up, the latter, then, you need to be more humble as you go up, for example, is one thing. All right. So, okay. So, everybody is happy and willing to be, with a person of benevolence, right? And that's, I think that's universal. No one likes to be around people who get angry a lot or are very, like dictatorial or whatever. So that's a quality, benevolence or kindness or mercy is a quality that we need to nurture. Okay. That we need to manifest that. Tao is our original appearance, our essence. Okay. So virtue is our natural conduct. So the Tao, so we have the Tao, right? We always say that the Tao is within us, and it's that essence. You say it's the Buddha nature, the true nature. But you can say the manifestation of that through our conduct is what we call virtue. And so, virtues, and you can say that that's kind of like the definition. And so, but even though, everyone has this essence, this Tao, but we can misuse it, we can abuse it and use it in ways that are not, according to that, you can say the principles of that essence, so these virtues. So we can also do bad things, of course, but the natural, the right, correct way, those are because of our human nature, the things that the bad habits or things that we picked up, that, are not right. Okay. So, or don't follow that, the Tao. Okay. So hard work, and accepting hardships, is a characteristic of a person of virtue. So this is also something to keep in mind. No one of great virtue, and of great achievement has not, experienced, difficult, hardships, and or has not worked hard. So basically, it's the same as pretty much anything that you have to put in the effort. Okay. But not only that is that we have to accept whatever the difficulties or the hardships that we go through, to basically elevate ourselves. Okay. So that is one of the characters. So people who are, not willing to, endure hardships or, even suffering, it's not likely that they can succeed in really becoming, becoming like a saint or Buddha, or, because they're lacking in that virtue. Okay, so again, that's something. This is, it's kind of like so this is part of our, should be part of our character, that we'd be able to do that. If you look at the predecessors or any of the patriarchs, they've all endured many hardships, but they persevered, okay, through it. And they didn't, it's not because things are difficult and so they gave up or they got angry or, they lost they basically threw away their virtues. That didn't happen. So that's something that we have to make sure that, always keep in mind, this one here. We must learn to act according to our true nature. Exhibiting the natural conduct is virtue. Okay, so that's kind of what we said there. Now, propriety is the benchmark of refinement or cultivation as it relates to one's moral integrity, and it is the expression of warmth and dignity of the Tao. Okay, so propriety, actually, I think the Chinese word that they use was li mao, which is more, I guess you can say it's, if you more narrowly defined as, you could say like etiquette or courtesy, manners, that kind of thing. But propriety, I guess you can say, is kind of more broader and covers all of those. But yeah, so propriety, remember, is one of the It's also one of the 4 courses of cultivation. So, but yeah, in especially like when you come to the temple and you see, if it's just like any other place, social gathering, I mean, you do have your, kind of your social manners, courtesies, things like that. But it's nothing special. But then, in the temple, that's why there are certain proprieties that are there to, when someone comes in and they see, wow, this place looks different. I mean, everyone is different. They follow these rules, there's all this propriety. The propriety is not there to make things difficult for us. I mean, they do serve a purpose. Okay. So one is to express, is an expression of this Tao, you could say the warmth and dignity, like when they offer the towel, when you come in. Of course, we don't do that now. I guess we kind of tend to use the hand thing, but, so a lot of things, little things, these are kind of, you could say like, maybe they seem like little things, but, they kind of add up because people sense, they feel it. Okay. All right. So, the first step is to achieve, right? Do not look at what is improper, right? So that's one of the 4, what is it? What do you say? 4 do nots. Do not, look at things that are improper, or do not listen to things that are improper. Do not, say things that are improper, and do not do things that are improper, right? So, and so that, that comes from Confucius' teachings as well. Yeah, so in the Tao Te Ching, right, the classic, the way and the virtue says, not looking at things that arouse desire, the heart and mind is therefore not stirred. And that's true. Unless you have such great control over your, you have really good control over your heart and mind, that, you can be exposed to many temptations and whatnot, and, you're not moved, then you're like a Buddha, I guess. But for most people, we have, our weaknesses, I guess they say, right? We have weaknesses. And so we can fall for temptation, and therefore don't expose yourself to those temptations. Okay. So, there are a lot of things on the internet you can find, and, especially when you're younger, I guess, you're more likely to, if you're exposed to these things, that you might kind of go down that path. And so it's important to, so that's why people say, hey, don't, when your parents tell you, don't look at these things, don't do these things, don't whatever, don't read those certain books or whatever, that's, it's for good reason. Because especially when it becomes a habit, then it becomes difficult to change or to stop. And so we should always, avoid these things as much as possible. Because, one of the things is that, once you see something that you shouldn't see, it's hard to unsee it. It's in your memory, and it's hard to unsee it. So it's always best to not. Okay. So, because here it says gradually becomes a habit, right? So this all depends on having an upright and proper mind, which is the basis of our cultivation. So the mind is very important, right? What we're cultivating is the mind. Everything comes from the mind, heart and mind. Okay. So the mind is the key. If we get that right, that is the basis of all our cultivation. Okay. We should do more to extol the virtues of others and must not remember their deficiencies. This is, extolling means to like praise, you talk about, what, the good qualities, the virtues of others, or the good things that they've done. Okay. We probably don't do as much. I know we don't do as much of this as we should. Rather, we kind of tend to talk about their deficiencies, their faults, their mistakes, the bad side of things, bad qualities. I mean, we may not necessarily do that in the open, but, in private, we might talk, then that becomes all gossip. Okay. So we shouldn't be gossiping. But that's, you can say that's part of maybe that's the human nature, nature, the side of things that we tend to do that. Maybe because the bad tends to stand out from the good. Okay. The good we say, because that's kind of things that we're supposed to do. But then if we do things that are bad or wrong, that we know that those are not. And so, they stand out to us. And that's why I guess we kind of focus on those. But that's something that we have to so again, this is a mindset change that we need to work on. Cultivation requires a broad and accommodating mind. Learn to have a heart like Maitreya Buddha's, to be more tolerant and forgiving. Yeah. So, when we do see other people doing things or saying things that, they're wrong, or, we see that they have, some idiosyncrasies or some bad habits or something, that, we have to kind of, we shouldn't criticize. We should try to, if something that, we can try to encourage them or point it out in a nice way to them that, they should probably try to change that behavior or conduct. But otherwise, there are many ways of doing that. You can also, try to encourage without not necessarily pointing out directly, but try to suggest a positive way of how to, kind of change that kind of behavior. Okay. So that's another way of doing it. But we have to learn to be more tolerant and forgiving. We tend to like to criticize and point out people's mistakes, but that actually opens the door for other people to point out our mistakes and as well, because we're also not perfect. And, if we're not aware of our own habits, or whatever, then, it's basically open game. Okay. It's two-way street. All right. Okay. So, no matter what our position or level, always conduct ourselves accordingly and with sincerity to touch and transform others. So, again, we are in different roles, or different positions in our various, maybe different circles of, in society. Okay. And so we should use, it should be appropriate. So it's like, let's say, as a person of, having a certain level of authority. Okay. But, that's within a certain scope of things, whether it's enforcing the law or whatever, that's where, but I can't use that same authority in other situations where it has nothing to do, it's outside of that scope. Okay. So that's kind of what this is kind of talking about too. And then of course, when we do things, and we interact and deal with people, we should always be sincere. Our sincerity, it doesn't have to be, in words. People can sense that, can know that, hey, this person is really sincere. He's trying to help me or whatever. And, people can feel it, can sense that. And, they can be touched and it can transform people. So a lot of actually, it's not really through talking. Okay. So obviously we have classes and we talk, but, a lot of what people can learn from us is from our own conduct, our actions. Okay. And probably more so than our words, because yes, we can, talk a lot about these principles and the truth and all that, but, little, even the very little, actions speak louder. Okay, so right, so speak louder than words. Okay, so that's also something that we should keep in mind. To achieve on the Buddha's path depends on oneself. To attain an immortal body depends on self-refinement. Yeah, so again, cultivation is something, even the Buddha cannot help us to cultivate. This is something that we have to do ourselves. The Buddhas, they guide us, they give us guidance, and other people give us guidance, but ultimately we have to do it ourselves. Okay, so that's not something, we can't really rely on others to, a lot of the issues we have, or problems or difficulties we have in cultivation are all internal within our heart and mind, and no one else can kind of fix those. We have to fix those ourselves. Okay. Only with a heart of heaven do we leave the underworld and not have vexations or worries. Otherwise, if everything is for oneself, then one will incur a lot of vexations and worries. Yeah. So this, being a heart of heaven, the heart of Tao, basically, is a selfless heart. Okay, one that is for all. Because again, if we kind of take the mind or the point of view of Buddha, is that everyone is me. I am everyone. Okay, so that there is no distinction, and then we would treat everyone well. We would treat everyone the same. And so, there's no selfishness, no things like that. So no biases. Then you wouldn't have any kind of vexations or worries. Okay, so we cannot be a fake or dishonest, because eventually everyone will see, people will see through us. So we should not deceive ourselves and others, right? Because, we think that maybe, we're smart. I can kind of fool other people, right? But into thinking that, I'm better than I really am, for example, but that's, people will realize, they might not see that right away, see that we're really, we're not being truthful, but eventually, we're going to slip up, and they'll notice, and realize, that, we're not, what we say we are. And so we're not just trying to fool them, we're trying to deceive ourselves too. Okay. So, that's, dishonesty. Yeah. Dishonesty is not just being dishonest to others, it's being dishonest to ourself, our true nature, our Buddha nature inside as well. So our conscience, right? Okay, so cultivation must include moral integrity. Okay, so what is moral integrity? It is inner sincerity and outer appearance, right? So, if one truly wants to help others, one does not seek returns, just do it quietly. This is true moral integrity, true merit and virtue. Remember to nurture virtue. Okay, so virtue is not talked about, whether good or bad is to let others feel it. All right, so that sincerity, again, is so important, right? So that is right at the core. It is basically our utmost sincerity is basically we are showing that essence, that Tao within us. Okay. So that's, so sincerity, another word you can use is like being genuine, right? Genuine, being true. Okay, so true to what? It's true to that Buddha nature, that true nature, that essence within us. Okay, so and then that's on the inside, and then so that manifests on the outside again in our appearance, in our through our actions, our words. So that's so when we do things, right? So when we help others. Obviously we should do it because it's the right thing to do. Again, you can say, there's someone is suffering and I must help them, because, when they are suffering, I am suffering. Okay, so that's the ultimate. It's like empathy. Okay, but again, it's that empathy. Why we have empathy is the idea of we are one. Okay, and so that's basically, so Holy Teacher again saying, virtue. This is virtue, right? So this is the core of our being, that we need virtues. Okay. And, so the virtues, again, it's not through our words, it's through our actions, and, what they can feel it, they can sense it, that, we have that virtue. Okay. Take precepts as our teacher so as not to become unrestrained. Right. So this is something Buddha actually said this too, that, we follow the precepts basically. So that now we're on to this moral discipline. Okay. So, or you can say precepts, that is kind of what guides us, or restraint keeps us in check so that we don't do things that we shouldn't be doing or saying or thinking, or etc. Okay. So they are important, and, because, at first maybe we say, there are all these set of rules, these, things that precepts that, we can't do these things. That's because we might feel like, it's kind of it's a burden or something, but that's because we have the wrong habits. Our habits, if they go against these precepts, then it's our habits that are wrong. Okay. So that we need to correct them. And so, for example, like you could say the first precept, or the biggest precept, is no killing, right? So, I think most people, if you look at the world, it's probably in the 90%, over 90% of the people, they kill. Okay. I mean, because they're eating meat. Okay. So they're killing. And so it kind of goes against what they're used to, what their habit is. And so for them, they think, this is very restrictive. Why is this? I mean, but actually, if we're following our true nature, our Buddha nature, then it would be natural. We wouldn't kill. We wouldn't take a life of a sentient being. Okay. So anyways, but that's, all the precepts, are there to kind of guide us, to remind us of what is proper, what is, proper, what is following our true nature. Okay. Tao is in the moment. It is with us as long as we do our utmost. Again, it's doing our utmost, basically doing, according to, to our best ability, with sincerity. I think I talked about in a previous class, but basically, no matter what it is that we're doing, big or small, it could be a very significant matter or a very little trivial task. We should always be sincere in doing it, that we do it. We should apply the same, basically, rules, if you will, or the same principles to whatever we're doing, whether it's a big project or a little thing, little task, that we should always do it, with that sincerity as well. And then that is the Tao. Okay. So it's not like saying, this is a trivial matter. So I don't, I just kind of do a superficial job on that, to finish the job, as opposed to something that's, has more attention on it. Then that's that's being conditional, right? So again, this Tao is unconditional. And so if we apply that in our lives, then we should treat everything the same. Right. All right. So, to cultivate Tao, we must perfect the Tao of humanity, right? Which means the duties and relationships, human relationships, and our human duties that we all have. So, we say cultivate the Tao. Yeah, we say, usually it's say cultivate the Tao of heaven. The first step is to cultivate the Tao of humanity. Okay, so obviously we are human, and therefore we must be proper humans. conduct ourselves properly as human beings to achieve this great Tao. Okay, so that's why you can say Tao is in everyday life, and it's not like trying to do meditation or trying to achieve certain special abilities. It's not about that. If we don't do this, if we don't conduct ourselves, if we don't fulfill our human duties, and also conduct ourselves properly in our various relationships with people, then those special abilities are useless. They're not going to we won't be able to transcend, and we're going to have to come back in the next life. We're going to still have to deal with these again. Okay. Keep in mind there's this 6-word motto, or you can say it sounds like a slogan in cultivation that you hear a lot in the temple. It says basically correct bad habits and rid bad temper. Well, I try to make it 6 English, but in English it's kind of hard to do it. It's just to get rid of bad temper. Okay, so but yeah, it's very simple. I mean, simply said. It can be kind of maybe difficult to do partly, but we work on this. But this is kind of like a foundation really of cultivation, is that we got to do these things. So, because no matter like if we kind of rise up in the ranks, get a higher position or status, we have to get rid of these things. I mean, we can't have our bad habits and bad temperament, because the higher up we are, the more people we see us, and we can influence more people, and therefore more people will also see that, this person has bad habits or they have a bad temper. How are they qualified to be where they are, in their position, right? So again, it's a question of, being qualified for where we are. But but actually it's not just, the people in high positions, everyone, all cultivators. We have to work on these. This is kind of the basics. Okay. Observe the precepts. It is not for others to see, but for our own benefit. Yeah. I mean, in observing the precepts and practicing, right, the upholding these precepts, we're not doing it for others to see, for show. I mean, that's not the purpose of cultivation, right? Cultivation is for our own self. Our own benefit. Well, not just our benefit, but like our ancestors, but it's to benefit us. In the process of cultivation, yes, obviously we can help others. We can be benefiting others as well, but ultimately cultivation is to benefit ourselves, because we're correcting, improving ourselves, and so that, we can elevate ourselves, spiritually, virtually, to higher and higher level. Okay, so, but yeah, so we shouldn't think of, say, like precepts, it's, the temple says we have to do this or we can't do this. We have to think of it in terms of, well, these things will help me to cultivate, to achieve my goal of becoming a Buddha. Okay. That's really what it is. Okay. So are we just cultivating on the surface? Again, the superficial cultivation, right? When others see us, right, we are very careful, right? So when we are with other people, but at other times, we are very lax when, let's say, there's no one else around. Right, so that's what's called superficial cultivation. So we're kind of, in essence, it's going against what we just talked about. We're doing it for show. Okay, so we're not really trying to change ourselves. Okay, we're just doing it for the benefit of others. Right, so that other people can see that, this person looks like he's cultivating, but and behind the scenes, we're like, we're not cultivators. So that's not right. Cultivation is basically 24/7, that we are cultivators all the time, not just when we're in the temple or, certain places, certain times. It's all the time. Then that's a true cultivator. And that's how you can succeed in cultivating. If you're only doing it part-time, and, especially like this where it's for show, then you're not going to succeed. Okay. Respect and observe the rules and proprieties of cultivation and respect the Buddha, right? In order to have moral discipline, we must be careful in speech, right? If we cannot observe reticence, which is, is kind of silence, then how can we observe other precepts? So speech, that's, we tend to, because we don't really think much about it. I mean, we think that, it's all right to say a lot of things. But actually we probably create more, more karma, I guess, from speech than anything. Okay. Or sins, so, especially things like gossip, things like that, or, whatever, all these things. So basically the idea here is to not, we have to be careful. Maybe we should think before we say things, and also don't say things if, there's nothing good to say. Okay. So in general, silence is a virtue, right? I think that's the saying. So we should definitely, not talk too much. No matter what we do, big or small, we must be sincere, respectful, and cautious. When we do the bows, okay, so this is talking about the bowing. When we do bowing, are we doing it with sincerity and respect? If not, then it is no different than not doing any bows. Okay, so if we do bows, then we should make sure that, first of all, right, to understand, to know that what we're bowing, when we do the bows, we're not bowing to statues, we're not bowing to external Buddhas. Partly, I guess maybe that's true that we're bowing to, the Buddhas, all those who've become Buddhas before us, because kind of as a show of respect, and humility. But ultimately it's also to, reflect inward and show we have to show in sincerity and respect also, that we have a Buddha nature, so that we are also Buddhas. And so, so when we do the bows, right, if the mind is restless and we cannot do the bows without concentration, or we do, then it means that we do not have the heart of sincerity and respect. So, I don't, I have to admit that, a lot of times when I bow, it's like, I can't concentrate. It's like my mind will start wandering. And so I guess, it's not enough sincerity and respect from my part. So, that's something I know that I that's an area that I need to work on. My mind tends to be very restless and wandering about and thinking about all sorts of things. Concentration is one of the, I guess, practices. We have to concentrate our mind, to clear our mind, keep our mind calm and still and clear. Okay. The purpose of moral discipline is to be able to concentrate and rein in the reckless mind. Yeah. That's something that, we need to definitely work on. And actually, during the bows, we can also help us to do that. So even though, we say, we're doing the bows, but, we can't concentrate, clear our mind. I guess the more we have to keep practice makes perfect. Just keep doing it, keep working on it, and try to reflect on why it is, or, really work on that concentration. Okay. So how do we untie the knots in our mind? Get rid of attachments and habits. Okay. So, in our heart and mind, we tend to have some knots, basically they're created by attachments and habits, things like that. And so we need to let go, get rid of these attachments and habits, that we may have. So Tao cultivation is to cultivate our mind. Have we cultivated our mind? Follow the divine path instead of greed for worldly fortune. Right? Cultivate the way of heaven without seeking future blessings. That's basically it. I mean, this divine path, this path to transcend cycle of life and death, basically is kind of the opposite, of the worldly path, which kind of is desiring all these worldly stuff, mundane stuff. And we want to cultivate the way of heaven, basically seeking achievement. I mean, if we want to achieve as like a Buddha, that's like the highest level of achievement, right, in the spiritual sense. Then yeah, we should not be seeking like future blessings. We say karmic blessings, right? So we can, if we, some people they're willing to do good stuff, good deeds, and help a lot of people, but what they're seeking is a better, this, you can say karmic blessings in a future life, future good fortune. But then that is still within the cycle of reincarnation. And so, in the samsara. So we have to let go of those things. Okay. So not seek any kind of, those returns, whether it's recognition or other types of wealth, material wealth. Just let that go. Okay. Whether we rise or fall, perseverance is the key, right? A magnanimous and ordinary mind can be at peace anywhere. And that, we have to accept anything that comes to us with goodwill. Okay. So we're definitely going to, it's not a smooth, path up to heaven. Okay. So on this path of cultivation, we encounter lots of things, that basically, we're going to have to persevere, don't give up, and don't change our attitude, or, if anything, when we have setbacks, it should only strengthen our resolve to want to, do better next time, right? So again, all these things they're internal. And even though other people can kind of encourage us, it's still up to us. The will, that determination comes from within us. Okay. And if we don't have that will and determination, other people can encourage us all they want, and it's not going to be good enough. Okay. So again, we need to, bring out have that will, that determination within us to be able to keep pushing forward. Okay. Maintain the original intent, and we will be able to attain the Tao, right? Original intent. So to talk about the original heart, I mean, that's basically comes from the Buddha. I mean, the Buddha nature. That's the original thing that we have. It's not this, our human, from our human nature or our human intent. Okay. Stop shirking responsibility and stop being neglectful. Okay. So, we have to, whatever responsibilities we have in life, we should accept them and fulfill them. And try not to, start pushing away responsibilities. And also in the temple, sometimes we are given a responsibility. We need to take it seriously, and we need to fulfill it, not push it away. Then, that is not, later on you say you can say that's, when we're talking about vows, fulfilling our vows, that's not, then we won't be fulfilling our vows either. So, okay. So this is kind of an attitude thing. So, since we're talking about mindset and attitude right now here. Okay. So, how can we change ourselves? Where are the knots in our mind? Why can we not figure things out or take things too hard? Why can we not overcome it? Have we encountered a hindrance we must be clear about these issues, what it is. We have to get to the root, understand what the problems are. Okay. But usually, but it's already been said, really, we have attachments, we have, you can say biases, we have, habits, things like that. Those are the things that kind of get in the way and make things difficult for us. Okay. And make things, And so it's usually because, we can't really change our perspective or change our view of things, and that we will encounter the problems. Okay. So again, we have to know how to be flexible. Why are we not able to achieve? Why do we always find things difficult? Is it due to our personality? We have quirks in our personality, idiosyncrasies. Those include habits, our temperament, things like that, attachments. Why do we feel powerless? Why can others get on without problems, but I have issues? Yeah. So again, we have to address these. This is, no one else can do this for us. So this is this internal struggle, if you will, I guess, that we have. But others can can help by pointing out things to us. But we have to, again, be able to accept it. If we don't accept it, then again, we're fighting against that. And we're still going to have the same problems again. So we're never going to fix the problem. In cultivation, don't we talk about changing the mindset, right? So we've listened to a lot of classes, but do we know how to change the mindset? Okay. Excessive fear prevents us from rectifying the mind. Fear of change, again, was what I said earlier. Again, we're afraid to, try something new or be something a little bit different. Okay, so likewise for excessive dualistic views, good and bad. Okay, so why are we cultivating with a long face, looking miserable? Is it because we have yet to untie the knots of the heart and mind? Right? Again, it is. I think a lot of people maybe we don't necessarily see it. We basically in people. But perhaps, everyone, I know actually everyone has this internal struggle within to kind of overcome these issues within themselves. Sometimes you can see it in others, but sometimes you can't. But it's there. Because we're all the same. We all go through this. Okay. So again, this is kind of this we have to have that inner power to kind of overcome these things, right? And so isn't it pitiful that we cultivate with an unhealthy body and mind, right? Giving the impression that we are abnormal. This unhealthy body and mind. We're our mind, our mindset and everything it's not, or we don't have proper attitudes, things like that, everything, and the body, other habits, that we may have. So, when people see us, say we're a cultivator, but they see kind of that we're not really. So these things, it's kind of strange. Isn't it tragic that we cultivate to the end, but we don't fill our mind with principles, the true principles, but rather, we fill it with other stuff like gossip and, rights, wrongs, whatever, that we shouldn't waste our time on, right? But that is kind of tragic in the end. As a person who is leading, what about the person in our head, right? So we may be this leader person, but the person in our head, what about that person? That person needs to improve, it's in our mind, okay, the mind. So holy Jesus, that's the saddest, right? So, everyone has eyes and can see, right? Don't you think that the biggest fault nowadays is people talking a lot and not doing enough, right? We all can talk about the principles, right? Even if we don't offend others, we still can twist the facts. Is this something that we do? Who will uphold justice? So all talk and no action, right? So again, and also we have to make sure that our action follows or matches our talk, okay? And so otherwise, we're it's hypocrisy, and no one likes, no one follows hypocrite, right? So we cannot be hypocrites. Okay, so definitely we have to be careful and be aware. Okay, so yeah, we all know, especially as lecturers, we do a lot of talking, right, teaching, but we have to make sure that we also can do the things that we talk about, that we teach. Okay, so or at least that we don't do the opposite. All right. All right. So when we have countless knots inside, we have to tell ourselves, whoever tied them should untie them. That's us. Okay. So because the knots, again, come from our own, no one else gave us those knots or made those knots within us, and we did that ourselves. Again, it's because of our, you can say our attachments, maybe our attitude or our habits, things like that. Okay. The obstacles in our mind must be removed by ourselves, no matter how difficult it is to communicate. We still must try. Okay. So we still have to do it, work on that. Now, even after we've heard a lot of gossip and slander, we must tell ourselves that we must come to the temple, that the temple needs us. Okay. So this is another thing that, don't let something that you've heard affect us in coming to cultivate. I mean, coming to the temple, of course, doesn't necessarily mean, that we have to come to the temple to cultivate, but a temple is a good place to be able to learn and to cultivate. And so we should not let that bother us, let that get in the way, because ultimately, again, cultivation is for who? It's not for them. It's not for the other people, not even the other people in the temple. It's for ourselves. And so if we just keep in mind that we come to the temple for ourselves, for not just for ourselves, but also our ancestors, then nothing should stop us from doing that. Okay, even if we might have heard some gossip about us, in the temple, right? Or we don't like someone in the temple. That should not. Again, that's something. These are the things that when we have these type of issues, that's an area that we need to work on, right? Part of cultivation is to get rid of those. So it's not to avoid those. I mean, if we try to avoid those all the time, we just avoid it, then it doesn't go away. We still have those problems, and we'll have those problems. They will manifest somewhere else. Okay. When we find ourselves in adverse situations and trials, we must tell ourselves to be positive and grateful or appreciative to deal with these types of difficulties. Yeah, usually, it's, we kind of feel sorry for ourselves or others who encounter difficulties and trials. But actually we need to be grateful and appreciative of them, because these are like the tests. I mean, these are the things that really, let us, like during some bad times, big bad things happening, and that's where we can see, people can shine through, and their virtues can shine through, and they can show that, wow, this is like, he's saying that we can see some of the best of humanity when we are in a crisis, right? Because people, they kind of step up, and maybe go beyond the call of duty to do things and to help others. But anyways, so this is, so in those situations, we should appreciate. It's kind of an opportunity for us, really, to kind of, show that we can, overcome these things and do better in them. When we have disagreements with our partner, let's say, like in a family, for example, we must tell ourselves, right, to perform heaven's work, we must be of one mind, be united, or following. We're all working. We all have the same goal and purpose and cause, I guess. to achieve a satisfactory result and fulfill our responsibilities. Right. So, rather than arguing over, which is the right way or who's right and wrong, harmony is better. And, we might have to compromise, if you will, or just work something out, a way, that, because conflict means that there's, you're expending energy in dealing with the conflict rather than achieving the goal. And so, we should all try to work towards that goal, even if it might be a little bit slower, perhaps, if we have to compromise, but that is still better than if we are kind of working against each other. Okay. To meet is easy, to get along is easy. In harmony with heaven's will, okay, so there's talking about forbearance here. All is naturally satisfactory. Well, we probably spend more time alone than with others, or where these, we all know Tao is in daily life, right? And we may have no problems getting along with a group of people, but we don't know how to get along with ourselves, our state of mind. Perhaps we just are not able to fine tune or adapt well enough. It's relatively easy to we meet other people, or we can even get along with them. To be in harmony with heaven's will, basically you can say, harmony with the Buddha nature, the true nature, then everything will be naturally very satisfactory. Okay. So there's nothing we have to do, nothing special that we have to do. Right. Now, getting along, when we are alone, again, so our state of mind, so are we, do we have all these other, things like mental discipline, things like that, moral discipline. I mean, a lot of things are, within our mind, and we have to be able to deal with the state of mind. Maybe we can be lazy, things like that. So we have to overcome these. And these are things, again, it doesn't really have much to do with other people. It's just ourselves. And this is inside that something that we have to work on. Okay. Just like when we are with Tao Kin conducting Tao affairs and full of Tao spirit, but maybe after a week, a month, or longer, we don't know how to deal with ourselves, right? How to maintain that Tao heart like we had when conducting the Tao affairs. Externally, we can get along with others, but internally, we must get along with our heart and mind, and it's not easy, is it? Right? So, again, the internal aspect. Yeah, this is, when we're working with others, in performing, in propagating the Tao or whatever it is, it's like, yeah, there's, everyone is all, working in harmony and all that, and it feels good. But then when we're by ourselves, again, we're not doing that. It's kind of, we lose that, you can say, lose that energy, that Tao spirit, that Tao energy. So how do we maintain that? We need to kind of try to maintain that. Okay, but that's not very easy. It's just like people, they come to maybe the Dharma class and, they listen to the classes and or if there was channeling, they listen to the Buddha teachings, and they're all very excited and they feel, and so usually there's the sharing, right? Where they share some of their feelings on the second day, some of them, yeah, they feel like, wow, they're very moved or whatever. Maybe they listen to like the filial piety class, they're very moved, but then it's odd because you never see them again after the Dharma class, and so I don't know exactly what they're thinking. So it's like, and Holy Teacher has talks about this a lot. It's like, well, it's like, where's that fire? The fire disappeared. So that's something, again, that's this internal thing that we have to work on. Okay. So what is called to be at peace anywhere? Okay. So no matter which country, home, or job position we are in, we must be at ease, upholding our duty without resentment or complaint. It is our life. So we must ease our mind, set our life in peace, to maintain our mind in the most peaceful state. If we still have a grudge or envy, then it will be difficult for our mind to be at peace anywhere, right? So, again, having this state of mind, this, whether it's these emotions or, the grudges, envies, anger, hatred, these are all in our mind. We create these things ourselves. And again, it's due to, you can say it's either due to the ego, it's due to our habits or attachments or biases. You can always lay the blame on those things. Okay. So since we do know that those are always the problem, then we need to work on fixing those problems, getting rid of those. So no matter where we are and whatever situation we're in, we should always be at peace, and harmony. We're very calm and composed, and we can deal with the situation at hand in the moment. Okay. So if we are not accommodating in our conduct, then we are deficient as a human. Okay. So do not take pains to be seen. Okay. We always like to be in the spotlight, but have we forgotten that red flowers? Okay, there's this Chinese saying. It says red flowers are complemented by green leaves. If we always insist on sticking out, then we may end up getting a lot of trouble for ourselves. So it's not a one-man show. Okay, so we usually there are others, unless we're always working by ourselves. But usually it's like a team effort, and so we have to work as a team, and we shouldn't be always the one. I'm the one who gets recognition or does the most important part or whatever, that everyone plays a role and they're all important. Okay. So we shouldn't feel like we're any too special here. So especially, should not be looking for this recognition all the time. All right. So we must be flexible in a situation to get a satisfactory result. Then we can have a clear line of reasoning, do things. Otherwise, we're trapped in the vast sea without a helmsman. It is difficult to move. Okay. So, we have to, again, be flexible, adapt to the situation, in what we do, and not say, this is the way I know how to do things, and I only know how to do things this way in here, and so, but that may not work, and so we can't always do that. So we have to be flexible. Otherwise, we might come to loggerheads, and we might get angry, and so that doesn't solve the problem. And so it's us. We need to make the changes within. Okay, Okay, so now finally we get the last one here, talking about fulfilling vows. So take Buddha's vows as my own, take teacher's vows as disciples' vows. So basically, Buddhas, they make vows, and we should also, try to emulate, obviously, we can't make such big vows as they make, but again, we learn from those. We do something similar, what we can do. Okay. So now, and also our holy teacher, his vows are basically his disciples' vows too, basically. So, our holy teacher's vow is to propagate the Tao, to save, sentient beings, as many, as can be done. And so we also should take on you can say, in this case, it would be like a duty or responsibility. Fulfilling the vows can resolve the hardships. Enduring the hardships can clear up our sins. So, why we make, vows are very important. And we make vows, right? And that's why when we receive the Tao, there are 10 great vows. I mean, they don't sound like much when you look at the list, but it's even, those 10 vows, if we can do that, then, it's possible that we can probably return to heaven. But, of course, we make other vows too. But, in fulfilling these vows, that can resolve our suffering and hardships as well. Okay, so that's why they're important. And when we can endure the hardships, then they can also clear up our sins. So don't think that, if we don't want to deal with any hardships, then our sins will still be there that we have to face later on when we're judged, okay, in the underworld or wherever. And so by, enduring these hardships and whatever suffering, that is a way to actually help us clear up our sins. So that's why, we have to have the right view, the attitude of, and the mindset to think that, well, when there's hardships, then we should be grateful. We should, appreciate them because that's helping to clear up our sins. Okay. And then, but, life would be very difficult if we're having these hardships all the time. And so if we are fulfilling our vows, then that will also reduce, the heart and, resolve these hardships as well. Okay. So do not think that is a trivial matter to superficially make a vow, right? A vow is still a vow. Not fulfilling the vow is no good. So some people, maybe they say, I'll do it. I'll make this vow. But it's not serious. But Holy Teacher is saying that even though you might just say it without being sincere, it still is a vow and that you need to fulfill that vow. So basically, if we're not sincere about taking a vow, then don't take it is the takeaway here. Okay. And so make vows and dedicate ourselves to fulfill the vows. Yes. So once we do make the vows, we are sincere about taking the vows, then we need to dedicate ourselves to fulfill those vows. Okay. So put in our best effort to do so. Think how much have we advanced in recent years, progressed basically in like cultivation. Okay. So even if we have not done any merits, we still must nurture our virtues, right? If we quietly do and give more, isn't that really making and fulfilling our vows, right? Do we remember the vows we made? How much have we been fulfilling our vows? Okay, we should think about this every day. Yes. So this is not something that we probably think about normally about, am I fulfilling my vows? But, we should kind of, think about this every now and then at least. What am I doing to fulfill my vows? You can say in a broader sense, it's also talking about our responsibilities and duties. Am I fulfilling those? Whether to myself, to others, or, to the ultimate goal of, wanting to become a Buddha. Okay. In everything that we do, are we fulfilling our vows? Right? What do we call dedicated? Okay. Well, I think actually in the Chinese is jingxing. Okay. So, are we doing things for the benefit of sentient beings? So here's the key here, that are we doing things for others, basically, for the benefit of others? Or are we doing it, for kind of maybe for ourselves, self-centric, selfish? Okay. So that's a key, that we have to be doing things for others, for benefit for others. Is our heart one with the Tao? Okay, so how much of ourselves have we dedicated for Tao, or dedicated to Tao? Are we dedicated in fairing people, teaching, and attending to matters? Right. So, first, we have to have confidence that we can do, in what we're doing. And then second, these are also Holy Teachers thing. Second, we must be diligent in doing it, carrying it out. Okay. So have we truly been diligent in Tao matters? Okay. So, again, just because, maybe at work, we say, oh, okay, because I'm paid, to do my work. And so I do a good job, and I know that maybe my boss will, give me a raise. But in the temple, I don't get paid. It's voluntary. And so I don't do as good of a job. Again, this is, we shouldn't have that kind of attitude. It's like, because at work, you're getting something in return, which is a wage, money. Okay. So, but actually in the temple, it's the same thing. I mean, when we're cultivating, and doing these things, we do get a return. Okay. It's something that we don't see necessarily. It's not as tangible, but it is, there's also a return. So don't forget that. I mean, we get, when we accomplish things, it's part of our virtue, merits. Okay. So we should also be diligent there. Only by being dedicated can we truly fulfill our vows. As long as we can fulfill the 10 great vows, right? When we receive the Tao blessing, cautiously fulfill the vows to the end, then we would be able to return to heaven and transcend the cycle of life and death. Okay, so we must do our best, follow heaven's mandate, do not limit ourselves. In this way, how is the power of vows extended? Okay, so we again don't limit ourselves. We say, so maybe some people will think, we already made 10 vows when we received the Tao, so I don't need to make any more vows, right? So that this seems to be good enough here to return to heaven. But, the more vows we make, the more we can achieve, right? And the higher the achievement, the greater the achievement, then, you can say, I mean, we're not seeking a position or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that, if you just fulfill the 10 great vows and go to heaven just like that, you're not going to become a Buddha. Okay. So, that's not enough to become a Buddha. So, the Buddha has all these other vows, right? So the more vows we have, the more you can say there's there's more power, that inner power that we have, and to help us to get there. We have to have more vows, and fulfill those vows, or continue, work on fulfilling those vows to become, like a bodhisattva or a Buddha. Okay. Cultivate Tao by cultivating the heart mind, conduct Tao with dedication. Then fulfilling vows can resolve hardships, and enduring hardships clear up the sins. Okay. So the journey of life is long and quick. It's long. Yeah, it's long, but, at the same time, it's also seems kind of, it can be short too, or it passes very quickly. But the path of cultivation is inevitably bumpy. Yeah. So like I said, it's not necessarily very smooth, this path, but, we have to deal with whatever comes along. And you can say that's part of the process of cultivation, is of achieving. Okay. Since we know this principle and temple community has experienced some ups and downs, then how do we continue without stopping? Why do we regress after experiencing a setback? Ask our conscience, right? Do we know the vows we've made? The vows we are not made for others to see, nor are they made for Buddhas to see. Again, these vows are really for us, okay, for ourselves, for our own achievement, okay. The suffering and dedication of our elders and predecessors are all about fulfilling their vows. Okay, so in fulfilling their vows, they've dedicated themselves to this path, and they've also suffered a lot along the way. But that's their vows that they're fulfilling. Now, so it says, Holy Teacher is asking, what about our vows? So how do we clear up our sins? So we must have great vows. Without vows, we will be lackadaisical. It's kind of like, not really putting in real true effort, and just muddle along and not cherish our lives. Okay, so if we forget our vows and having accumulated many sins, then who suffers, right? So we know that we have a lot of sins. Maybe, well, even in this life, we don't know how many sins we have. But then, accumulated from previous lifetimes, it's a whole pile of sins. So, the only way that we saw earlier is that we have to have vows, fulfill our vows to kind of clear up these sins. Okay. So why don't we really cherish the affinity that we have to harmonize the affinity, right? So we have this affinity to be here, to learn, to cultivate, to practice the Tao, and so we should really cherish that. Okay, so we all come from heaven with a vow, right? Teacher cannot blame us for becoming confused and lost in the world and forgetting our vows. But once we enter the Tao, we have a holy duty of which teacher must remind us. When we fall, thousands also fall. Our ancestors all suffer, right? So again, this is not, although we're doing it, cultivation is kind of ourself and all these things are for ourselves, but again, it impacts our ancestors. Okay. Don't think that committing small sins affects only me, right? We must know that each drop of water is tiny, but gradually becomes large. A little sin here and there will accumulate to become a bigger sin. Okay, and again, these little sins, they add up and they affect our ancestors as well. So, and they're depending on us because they probably didn't have a chance to receive the Tao to cultivate, and so they depend on us to do our best for them as well. Okay, so life is like a bitter sea, right? We must support the Dharma boat. We are all the helmsmen, of the boat. Are we able to helm the boat when the waters get choppy? Right? The rudder is our vows, our direction. Cultivation is to borrow the false, to cultivate the true, to make use of forms, to understand and realize the truth. Then we can move forward. So, all the things that, these forms, even this body, it's all false. It's all temporary, but we have to use it, and we have to use, our language, and to talk about the truth, and use our mind to try to understand the truth, but realize that these are all a means of achieving the end, and so and that's all it is. So we need to not become too attached to these things, but realize that these are like the tools that we need to use, that we can use. Okay. So during this final era of cultivation, depending on our mindset, it can attract demons. Okay. So if our mindset is not good, if we have desires, we have, hatred, all these things will attract demons to us. Okay. So it's really the inner demon or the inner mindset that attracts these external demons, right, to us. So have we let go of the individual self and put the greater self ahead of us? If we are concerned only for ourselves, then we may have become the heretic on the deviant and evil path. So again, that self, we have to put the greater self is other sentient beings, put everyone else before ourselves. And so we shouldn't be just concerned with ourselves. We should be trying to be of benefit to others, people, okay, or all sentient beings. We must always appreciate and be grateful. When we drink the water, think of the source, know the grace and be grateful. True gratitude is to requite the grace, basically to reciprocate. And pressure is motivation. Be grateful for adversity. So because everything is arranged by heaven. You can say that, when we encounter difficulties, seems like there's a lot of pressure. It's there to help us to reach, to kind of, elevate ourselves to reach the next level. Right? Those who cherish contentment always generates happiness. Right? Those who cherish blessings will receive blessings. Seize the opportunity to perform merits and fulfill vows and do what we can. Okay. So, cherish each other, each encounter and knowing each other. So especially now, when these disasters happen, calamities, this pandemic, it kind of becomes, it kind of limits what we can do maybe. And so we should definitely, do what we can while we can. Okay. All right. All right. So, the aspiration to be egoless and selfless is the great aspiration, right? Again, so not having that self or ego. Our goal determines what we can become. We must be determined in establishing a goal. Right? Do not hesitate, or we will have regrets. Only if our aspiration is constant and we persist in achieving it, can we achieve great things. right? Establish the 3 eternal goals of virtue, merit, and speech. Okay, so again, we have to, with our aspirations, or you can say they're vows, that we should always persist in pursuing or achieving those vows or the aspiration. And that's how we can achieve greatness. So, basically like if we want to become a Buddha, for example. And as these 3 eternal goals, basically virtue, merits, we all know about, and then speech, again, we have to be very careful of our words. Okay, so I think okay. So basically, you can say these are the kind of requirements for returning to heaven that, we cultivate. So when we talk about cultivation, these are kind of like 5 aspects of cultivation: the moral integrity or virtues or moral character, our moral discipline or following precepts, our mindset and attitude, very important. Everything is, kind of, comes from the mind, for our forbearance and also fulfilling vows. Okay, so I think I've run over time. All right, so I think that's it. Yeah. If I had said anything wrong, I asked the Buddhas for forgiveness, and I asked the transmitters and lecturers for any corrections. Thank you.